Hello, and welcome back to the Tokyo Podfathers anime podcast. As always, my name is Sinrus, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Colonel Panic.
Hello.
And perennial excellent guest, Smurf Rockroon. How you doing, Smurf?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm tired.
Smurf.
Yes, thank you for getting
perennial
up
millennial.
so early in the morning at 10:30
I am
to join
nocturnal.
us.
I am nocturnal. So, well, it's 9:30 where I am, but yes.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Okay, a little tougher. And today we're going to be talking about what I think can pretty safely be called the dark horse show of the past year. In that, I don't think anybody saw this one coming before it started airing,
one saw
and
it
that's
coming.
Ousama Ranking.
Oh, fuck, I watched Ousama Game.
Just a little bit different.
I was going to say, I didn't know why we were doing
I've
this
got to be honest,
episode.
when
Wait,
I was first...
Wait, I watched
Go ahead.
Onisama A. What are we talking about?
What are you talking about?
I gotta say, the legacy of Ousama Game is so powerful for some reason that
Yeah, it
the
just sticks.
association of having a two-word title with Osama in it,
Anything Ousama.
it actually put me off of starting this show.
Kind of same. Like, I saw the title and was like, wait, that reminds me of something I know is bad.
Yeah.
I've
And
seen
then I don't
other
wanna do
people.
it.
I've seen other people saying the same thing, where they're like, "Oh, I didn't watch it because it has Osama in the title."
It's just
it makes me think
crazy.
of Osama Game.
Right.
It's kind of crazy that I don't think any of us watched Ousama Game, right?
No,
Oh, I did. It's comedy of the year. No, it was hilarious.
Oh, I kind of want to watch it, but it's crazy that it's just like it's in the collective,
Yeah.
zeitgeist of every anime watcher.
I mean, it's really bad. I thought it was funny, but I was laughing at how bad it was. Like the
Is
whole
that what
time.
a Gesamtkunstwerk is?
What?
Oh,
It's like
what?
an art thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Osama Game was like a Moz show, right? It was like a really shitty death game.
Yes, Death
I
Game.
don't think he liked it.
But not even Moz liked it.
It was a death game that adapted. Oh, what was it? I think it was an original sequel that constantly flashed back to the manga
Okay.
or something.
Huh?
It was weird.
All right. Okay. But anyway, we're talking about a good
Yeah.
show today.
Yeah,
Yes.
Osama
And
Osama
that's-
Game. Yeah.
And that's Ousama Ranking of Kings. So is this just like revisionist history on my part, where I didn't know anything about it, so I assume nobody else did, or was this show
No, I
actually
didn't
like
either. I didn't
nobody had
either.
any expectations?
I
Well,
was put
the
onto
thing-
it like 6 episodes in, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "But this is great! What the fuck?"
I think this. Oh, go ahead.
Unironically, I think I saw a picture of Hilling, and I was like, "Okay, this looks good.
Yeah.
I need to get into whatever this is with the long
About
noses."
I think the thing about Osama Ranking, I almost said game, Osama Ranking, is that it didn't have any hype behind it because the manga is not really translated.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Even
I
to this
think-
point, I just looked it up after the last episode came out. I was like, oh, I wonder if I can pick up the manga. The manga,
You can't.
it's like as of when the show started airing, there were only like 20 chapters at most translated. And now in the last couple months, people have translated up to chapter like 66, I think it was. But
nice.
that's only the scene where Healing is like shouting for Daida and he hears
Yeah.
her from inside of
I
Bose.
was about to say, I think the show is like way ahead of the manga.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I looked it up a couple weeks ago. I was curious how far the manga was, and they were meeting Despa for the first time. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god. They're
Right.
so far back.
Come on.
But it seemed
doesn't
like
even talk.
people-
Speed it up.
The greatest heroes of our fandom, the translators, are.
Oh my god. Truly.
It seems like
the
they're pumping
unsung
out the
hero.
chapters at a pretty good rate now. So
Yeah.
come back, check it out in a couple more months, and maybe it'll be past where the anime left off.
If the
Now,
hype
was
stays,
anybody-
I guess.
I don't know, Panic, you said you picked it up a few episodes in, so I don't think you had any expectation of it prior to
really.
the season.
No.
Sinrus, did you start it at episode 1?
No, I believe I started it because you pinged me after the first episode or two and were like, you would like this show.
Oh, right. Okay. So when I picked it up because my friends and I do seasonal previews every season, I guess. Like 2 or 3 weeks before the next season starts. We will all be in a voice call and we'll be going through any chart and going through shows. We got to Ousama Ranking, and none of us really liked the synopsis. We all thought, it sounds kind of silly, it sounds kind of dumb. The one thing that really piqued my interest early on when it first got announced. I don't even know when this was. When did the show get announced? Hold on, let me take a look real fast.
This is why we opened Val before starting.
This is why we opened Val. December 2019, it got announced.
Oh, wow.
And they posted...
Time ago.
I'm going to post a visual in a channel. What channel can I post this in?
That's a long time ago. What the hell?
What
post
channel?
it in... I don't know. Post it in the voice chat channel. If people know we're recording, then whatever.
There's a key visual... There's a key visual where you can see Boji standing on a wall, and there's like swords and shields and stuff behind him, and there's like reflections of what now I know to be the demon. But at the time I thought they were like a goblin or something, and that visual really stood out to me as like, this show is not as cheerful. This show might not be as cheerful, wholesome, like Disney Channel.
Yeah.
It's not going to be
nice.
Only good times.
As it kind of looks.
I had never seen this visual before, and if I had, it totally would have changed my perception of the show. Because the only one I'd seen is the one that's just like the banner poster that's on Mal, that it's like him in his diaper sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen a lot of people that see that visual and go, why would I watch this?
I don't think I saw any of the visuals. I just saw like pictures of the show, and I was like, that art style is great. I saw
that, and I actually shared this with my friends when we were going over it. Some of them were like pretty on the fence. I posted this, and a few of them immediately went, oh, I'll watch it.
I mean, I'd get absolutely. That poster. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that is a really sick poster.
So that was the reason. Like, I always had it in the back of my mind, because that poster really like stood out to me as looking like this could be something kind of interesting and maybe a little bit dark. It wasn't quite as dark. I feel like it's closer to the wholesome stuff for the most part, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of sold people with the wrong expectations at first.
Yeah, what the fuck? That should be the cover on Mal, not the diaper throne.
Yeah. But even then, I think I remember you did not like the beginning of it. I don't remember how much, whether it was a couple episodes before you got into it, or whether it was like...
I'd say I wasn't into the first, 19 minutes of the show.
Okay.
And then when the, little sparring match against Daida happened, I was 100% sold. I'm on board. I'm into the show.
Yeah.
This is a good show.
Yeah. Same for me.
But
I was watching it up through, I was
like... I just, I thought, oh, Boji, he's a little, oh my god, what's the word? I'm so dumb. Gullible? He's a little gullible, Kage just keeps asking for all these all these expensive clothes, and he's just handing him over. It's it's kind of hard. I don't really like watching this character just get treated this way. But once he started winning people over, and, showing that he's not just this, oblivious kind of whatever, just going through life.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, okay.
Showing that he's not getting fooled by Kage. He's like, oh, this guy wants to spend time with me. I'll just keep giving him shit.
Right.
It's sad. It's sad as fuck. He has no friends.
Yeah, but I'll definitely echo that. I was watching the first episode most of the way through. I was like, I don't really think this is for me. It's fine. I think it's kind of cute. I like the art style, but it's not that interesting or entertaining to watch. And then the fight scene at the end of the first episode happens, and you're just like, yo, let's go, Boji!
Is that already at the end of the first episode? Did they fight? Damn.
Yeah. The first episode ends with him, doing all the sick dodges.
I think it ends with him landing the first hit on Daida, I think, right? It's like the little bark on the forehead.
Little tap.
I think that's when it ends.
Yeah.
That's when you're still like, oh, the queen is kind of a shitter. Daida is just like spoiled brat.
Right. It's like everyone
Right.
else sucks. The healing
Boji
is, a
is
bit.
just like a
Healing's
naive
bit.
weakling. He's so weak. Oh, but he can do this one thing. He's really good at dodging.
Right.
And if I know anything about video games, it's that dodging lets you do anything. He can just win Dark Souls.
Absolutely. Yeah, this
gotta get those
is
iframes.
truly the Dark Souls of anime. Only because it teaches you that the dodge build is the
He
best.
starts as he is. What's that? The shit starting class you can get with just nothing.
The wretch?
The wretch. Boji is the wretch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
It
he
actually
equips
reminded me-
the dark wood grain ring and starts doing the ninja flip dodges
It does
all over
have
the
all
place.
these weird ass like other like Dark Souls vibes of other kingdoms and people who are cursed and
Yeah.
all this stuff that isn't explained very deeply, just hinted at. It's like it feels like a massive world. Also because
Yeah.
it's called Ranking of Kings.
And that
because
poster
literally
Smurf
they
sent these earlier totally looks like it could be straight out of Elden
Yeah.
Ring.
like you put like a brown and gray filter on that. That's like Dark Souls. There you go. And a big wolf somewhere.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, it's the titular ranking of kings. It's like the official ranking of all the kings in the world. And the show deals very little with that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
The title is kind of weird. But, I mean, I guess maybe as the manga continues after the show ended, maybe it does more because now Mr. Underworld is number one. And
Shit. Yeah. Okay. I literally only just realized that we didn't get a conclusion to the cliffhanger in the second to last episode of Dessa going
Oh, like-
into the
oh yeah, he's
treasury.
been taken to some kind of vault to get his prize for being ranked 1.
Yeah.
Apparently being ranked 1 is like, you have to accept it. So he's like, okay, sure, I accept my first place, and then he goes and gets something. We don't see what it is.
Right.
So I'm guessing
do
they
like-
get some kind of weird, like, cursed whatever.
Yeah.
A crown that drives you
there was-
crazy or something.
I saw some kind of like theory crafting about that recently. I don't remember where.
Oh. Well, we know
Or who?
very little about the ranking of kings, right? Like, I think the only information
We know very little about the
really
kings.
is that yeah,
There's,
the
like,
number
we
one
only ever
king
see two of
gets
the
to
kings.
take the number one king gets to take a treasure from the divine vault, and up to now, every king who's ever chosen to do that has picked the same treasure and gone mad.
Oh.
Right.
And
So
that's
maybe
they
pretty
won't
much
pick
all the
that.
information we have.
Well, and he has, like, a mission of saving his brother. Him and Despa both want to save their brother who is cursed with immortality.
Their brother,
Right.
whose name also does not fit the naming scheme.
Yeah, like
Doesn't
Despa,
fit the naming
Desha, and
scheme.
Oaken. What? Come on, man. What was their parents thinking?
Yeah. Okay, let's wind back a bit, though, because I think something that people in our Discord were saying that I think totally nailed the appeal of the show early on, when people were still kind of like just starting to realize how special Ousama Ranking was that like all of the characters in it are constantly acting in ways that you would never expect, but in retrospect make total sense with what we know about them, right? And so I think that was probably my favorite part of the show overall, was in like the first half of it, seeing the character motivations slowly unfold and like the factions starting to emerge and everything like that. Like, I think one of the best examples is when healing is first introduced, she's like the wicked stepmother character.
Yeah, you expect her to be an asshole and just want
Right, like
to like.
she comes across as like a huge dick to Boji. She's like,
like
oh,
she's
you
got to
can't
be a
do
dick to
anything.
Boji to like further Daida's ambitions and her own
Right.
son, her real son.
Yeah. But it kind of is unraveled over the course of a few episodes after that, that she's just like kind of debilitatingly overprotective of Boji.
Yeah.
Like, she just cares about him too much to want to like put him at any sort of risk or danger.
Yeah, it's like he can't be king. He can't speak to people. How can he? And he's too naive. Like anyone can fool him. How can you be a king when you're like that weak and you can't speak and you're easily duped?
Yeah, I can't let him leave the castle and go out and do anything because whenever he does, he gets tricked by people.
And he gets hurt. Have we?
Right.
I mean, we haven't even talked about his disability yet. He can't speak.
Yeah.
He's deaf too. Yeah.
He's deaf. He's not mute because he can make sounds.
I don't think he's mute.
My dudes.
Well, I think he's deaf because that's how deaf people sound.
Yeah, right. So he's deaf.
Right, but he's not mute.
No. That's what I just said.
Right.
But luckily, he meets a friendly little guy, a special little guy.
Yeah.
The last of his kind, Kage, the Shadow tribe, whatever.
I wish we'd get more on the Shadow tribe. Because, like, I mean, we got some info on them, but I always just wondered, like, why do they look like that?
We got to see their entire, like, clan wiped out. We got to see Kage's mom hang off the sword.
Impaled on the spear? Yeah.
Impaled on his spear.
So, for the Shadow clan, are they, like, a different species, or are they just really, really weird-looking humans?
I think they're a different species.
I think they're different species, yeah. There are
Like,
other
there's
fantasy
also like
races
trolls
in-
and ogres and stuff like that.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
There are.
I'm thinking they're just like a type of like civilized monster who can blend with
threw me
shadows
for
and
such a loop in the
assassinate.
last episode. There's like a brief moment where Kage, like, you know, like his arms come out of his little like ball sack body, and then he like pushes down on the ground and lifts up his body off the ground. That
What the fuck?
that really threw me for a loop. I was like, wait, hang on, are you telling me he's not actually just like two-dimensional on the ground? He is just like a little blob creature.
He's just a Stunfisk.
Yeah.
He
is
kind of
just a
looks
Stunfisk.
like
Stunfisk with
a
arms.
sorrow mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking love the way he's drawn though. He's so simple, but the way he can emote with, like when he blinks and you see both eyes, they're like on top of each other, but there's still a designated left and right eye.
Yeah.
He makes me think of an unknown.
Yeah, kinda. The unknowns. He's just
Like
a great
Pokemon.
design.
Yeah.
Except for that weird little mouth he has, like that claw. That's so strange, and he speaks with
if
it.
they didn't make it very clear that that's a mouth because Boji is like reading its lips, I would never parse that as a mouth.
No.
Not at
Never.
all. This weird little hooked thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Kage's
What
it's-
did you guys think of
pretty cool.
Kage in the end? I thought he was kind of underutilized as a character.
Yeah,
I
very
thought-
much. He was just like he's like the number one hype man.
Yeah.
He's just there to
He
cheer
is-
Boji up.
An excellent hype man. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And
and he's a tool for the audience to understand what the fuck is being said. Because he'll
That's
just restate everything.
Yes, he is a great tool for that. I found myself, I feel like annoyed with him quite often, actually. I think his lack of confidence, while an important part of his character, I think they go a little too far sometimes. Like, I was really annoyed in the final episode when he just left.
Right.
He's
just
just like,
leaves,
yeah, I don't
and
deserve to be here alongside
And
the
then
king.
Boji has to give up being a king to go get him back. And it's like, you could have just stayed, and Boji would have been king. Like, you caused this now.
Kage, do you
Good
have
job,
any
Kage.
fucking idea how many times you've saved this guy's life?
Yeah. I did not think
No
about
one
it that
deserves
way,
to be
Smurf,
here
but
more than
that's a
you.
good point.
And so I was just like, oh, this guy again. Like, just get over it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt about that. I was also unsatisfied because I felt like it made sense for Kage as a character, but I think for him to do something like that and not have it just be annoying, they needed to have that aspect of his personality be a little more present throughout the story.
Oh,
Because
the
I
insecurity?
get why he would feel like, oh, I only exist on the outskirts. Like, once Boji is king, I can't stick around with him. But then I feel like that should have been something that Kage was worrying about. Like,
Yeah.
once we're
Like,
done
what
with this,
what
I'll
will
have
I
to
do
leave.
once he becomes king? What will I do?
Right.
What will become
Yeah.
of poor old
Right.
Kage?
Because all he was saying basically the whole time was, yeah, we're going to be friends forever. I'll always be with you. I'll always cheer you on, Boji. And then, like, whenever Boji starts to succeed, he's like, all right, peace, I'm out of here.
Right.
We'll be friends forever, right, Dad?
Yeah,
I also thought, like, there's one, like, cliffhanger in the whole part of the show where they're just fighting Oaken, where he
eats
does
him.
what seems in the cliffhanger, like, he's evolving in some way to, like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
he like, envelops Oaken. And I thought that was,
He
like,
does
a
a Kirby.
huge thing, like, like, his true power is being unlocked in some form.
Yeah, I figured that was like him doing some kind of special Shadow Clan finishing move he didn't know he could do, where he kills something that's immortal.
Right.
You know, banishes
But then
it
the
to
next
like some
episode
shadow
just starts
realm.
with Oaken killing him.
Yeah, he just cuts himself out. It was Jesus Christ. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, it made me think of, like, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. When he just, like, envelops people and absorbs
yeah.
them and
just
becomes... I was
absorbs them.
like, oh, shit. Like, we're going to get weird Okage.
So Kage, it's like, oh,
There
is
we
Kage
go.
gonna like eat him and then get like a human shape and become like a super good swordsman or something? But no.
Nope.
That'd be something.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I
Nope.
wish they had done a little bit more with Kage. Like, he is great at the role that he needs to serve for the story, which is being the mouthpiece for Boji and, like, the perspective character for the audience. But
Yeah.
Yes.
I would have liked to have more from him.
And he's
What
just
did you
very
guys think-
endearing.
What did you guys think of Oaken? Since we were just mentioning
I think
him?
his design is some of the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay, I think the most common criticism for the show, right, is that the Oaken fight went on for too long.
That is my major criticism of it.
Right.
It's Jesus,
That
that was like
said,
10 fucking
I
episodes.
do love all of the Oaken content. I just wish there were, like, 2 less episodes of it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't have as much of a problem with that as other people do, although I get it. Like, it's not the kind of thing I'd ever...
Like, good
like,
lord, like 10
argue
half
about,
of this
right?
show takes place in the same courtyard.
I mean, yeah, it's a fair criticism. I felt like there was enough stuff happening each episode that I didn't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was still furthering the plot. I love him as a concept, like the idea that immortality, which many people would wish for if they could, like, it corrupts you. You
It's
don't have
Dark
a
Souls
soul.
again. That's
You
the
go
plot
crazy.
of every Dark
That's what I'm
Souls game.
saying. It's Dark
What's
Souls.
a little weird to me though is, like, you always think in these kind of like stories that have immortality, it's always, you know, oh, they go a little insane once they start aging and everyone they know dies around them. He's not that old. Like no. Everyone is still alive.
His brothers are
Everyone's
still
fine.
there. He's the same age as his brothers.
Yeah, it's like
Is that
drove you
necessarily
to
true? Like,
insanity?
the three brothers are all demigods, so they could all be super old.
Well, sure.
I guess.
But he hasn't
I guess,
lived
yeah.
longer than his brothers, so why did he go crazy and they didn't?
Yeah. I think they explain something
I think
about
they say that,
the
like,
magic mechanics of it.
not
I don't remember
having-
what the details are, but
I think they
I
say something about you lose your soul because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has berserker enhancement,
yeah, he does.
or that's what that's called, right?
Mad enhancement.
Matt, damn it. One day I'll
okay,
get
I
the
got you.
terminology down.
But yeah, I thought Oaken was really cool. I really loved how well they sold the relationship between the three brothers. Like, you really feel Despa's pain over what Oaken has become.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I love those three. I fucking love Desha's design too. Like that weird
Yeah.
wide mouth. And
I
his
remember
massive
you seeing
Oni
his
club.
first appearance and being like, oh yeah, new kin.
Oh yeah, I love him. This is my guy. Jesus Christ. I love that he's just this fucking unit of a guy. Big spiked teeth. And like the massive iron Oni club, which is like my favorite weapon in all fiction. I love it.
Oh yeah, I love it whenever those show up.
They're so
Compared to-
brutal. Like just a big hunk of iron with knobs on it.
Yeah.
Like get smashed. Get squished.
Compared to Oaken and Despa, who look like normal people.
Yeah. Like they Despa is just like, he's flamboyant, but he's normal.
I love.
Did we ever see him
Despa's,
actually
like,
fight?
No, I don't believe so.
He must be a good swordsman, though, right? He
I
was
don't
like
think
the king's
I
guard.
think Despa is actually a fraud.
Oh, Oaken. Wait, Oaken was the guy
Well,
who was like in the gold armor.
Isn't it like confirmed that Despa is actually weak? He like gets into the bar fight and gets his ass kicked.
No, but he did that on purpose, right?
He did it on purpose. He paid
That's
off
true.
the guy.
Yeah,
He paid
He paid-
them to
right.
make a scenario for Boji to try out and get some confidence.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I
I
forgot.
don't think
I-
we actually
I've
ever
thought-
see if he's a shitty fighter.
I've thought this entire time. I've had a steadfast belief that he is a fraud. He is not a good fighter. He's just lying to. He's like Reagan, right? Except not an asshole.
Right.
He's just lying his way through life. But he has actually good intentions, and he actually is helping Boji, which is
And
pretty
he's
cool,
actually like a good trainer.
Yeah, he's
But,
voiced by Sakurai Takahiro, so he's got to be at least a little bit of a grifter.
Oh, he is. This is a show that I'm usually on top of voice actors. Not this one, man.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah,
funny you
voice-
compared him to Reagan because he's the same
Oh,
voice
he-
as Reagan.
Is it? Oh my
Oh,
god.
he is.
That's
That's really
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah.
Like,
That's great.
Look, I'm looking through Mal right now. I obviously I recognize Yuki Kage as Daida, but I don't recognize like anybody else in this list. I didn't even know that. I didn't know Maya Sakamoto was Miranjo. I didn't know that Kenta Miyake was Bose. I love Kenta Miyake. I didn't even hear that. Like, come on, what am I doing?
Who was he?
Oh, boss.
Oh,
Bose.
yeah.
Bose? Boss? I just assumed it's boss.
I've been saying it's
'Cause that's
Bose. I
Bose.
don't know. Whatever.
Bose?
Bose headphones.
Bossy?
But Kenta Miyake is who voices All Might.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, hey, I'm also looking through the list now, and in the English dub, Kage is voiced by ProZD.
He is. Yes.
Perfect.
That's
Yes.
fun.
Yes, he is.
Perfect. That's awesome.
I was thinking that
Yeah.
earlier when we were talking about Kage. I just didn't have time to bring it up.
But can
Yeah,
you
I feel-
spell the word king?
You get to make a kingdom after this.
Yeah, so the brothers were all awesome. What did you guys think of the big four of the kingdom?
I have
Snake
mixed
Man.
feelings about them.
Dorch, Spear,
Yeah.
and
Apis and who else
Apis,
was?
Bebin, Beebis.
Well, okay, so I guess I'll go down the list on now. And
Okay.
so we have Apis, right, the spear guy.
Yeah.
I didn't really get what his deal was. Like
I
he was
didn't like
sworn
it.
into servitude with Miranjo in some way.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I thought he was
No.
a pushover.
Kind of a yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay,
didn't.
let me interject on there first, because I think Apis suffers from the other biggest flaw of the show, in my opinion, which is that once we start learning the truth about things, there are a lot of flashbacks that give us information very piecemeal, and that made it hard for me to keep track of like what order everything came in.
Uh-huh.
So
Sure.
Obvious's backstory is clearly very important for understanding the character, but because we didn't really know what was going on when we saw it, I don't really remember it at all.
No, I don't remember it at all in any
I
way.
have no memory.
I
It was just
remember
kinda
there being
forgettable.
a scene of like he's fighting monsters in that underground chamber beneath the castle, and then when he's about to be killed by one of them, Miranjo calls it off. But
I
that's
guess was that
that's
his?
all I remember about it.
Was that his
I don't remember
backstory?
why he
I
was
just
there.
kind of assumed
what-
that was like recent, because she was a
that
mirror.
I think that like is explaining why he's so devoted to Miranjo. But yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And that issue I had extended out a lot more, like with Miranjo and Bose's backstories too. I had to like really sit down and think about it to put together the timeline of everything that happens between those two and like Bose's first wife and then her death and all that stuff.
Yes.
I didn't have too much of a problem with Miranjo's backstory. I thought they did a pretty good job of adequately explaining, but like other like Appius, I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, with Miranjo's
I
backstory
was
was
just
like
confused and annoyed with him.
yeah. Well, with Miranjo's backstory was like I get the very beginning of it with like her mom's death and all that stuff, but what I was really struggling to figure out was like, when did she meet the demon for the first time? When did she make the contract with the demon? Because that was a different occasion. that sort of stuff. Like, how did that all fit together
Right.
alongside like her relationship with Bose and when everything else was happening?
I feel like she met the demon like as a small child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did she get her hands cut off at some point? Like, she's in a village.
I thought
she's
that-
like
yeah, I
tied
thought
to
that
the
too,
ground. She's
because-
got bandages on her hands, and it looks like they're gone.
And then her little doll in Daida's little shadow realm didn't have hands.
Yeah.
Right. I think it was like after that the kingdom she was from was destroyed, like the marauding neighboring kingdom that where the people tortured her. I think they cut off her hands. Yeah.
Okay.
That's hardcore. But she must have met the demon before that then,
Right.
because she had hands.
Yeah. That's a good point. You can use the hands as a barometer.
Before hands and after.
But anyway, we can get deeper on Miranjo later because there's a lot to talk about with her. Back to
So the
Appius,
next of-
I agree he was definitely the weakest of the four.
Yes. The next of the big four is Bebin, the snake dude. Liked him. I thought he
Pepsi.
was adequately... I think he had a very similar arc to, like, Healing, where he starts out and it's like, this asshole. This guy is such
Yeah.
a dick. And then you start to realize, it's like, actually, he seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, because at
Right.
the first time we see him, he's like the trainer of Daida. He's the one training Daida.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we
And
see him
he-
like he's hunting Kage through the castle.
Yeah.
And then like Daida sends him to kill Appius when Appius like quits out of protest to Daida being coronated.
Right. And also, he commands snakes. That's never...
He has a snake. He
Yeah,
has
that's
the-
never
the
a good
best-
sign.
He has the best boy of the entire show, the 3-headed snake. Well, 2-headed, but
Is that,
Yeah.
is that a
originally
boy?
3.
I thought that was a girl.
I don't know.
I mean, some good boy, some girl snakes can be good boys too.
I thought it was like the mother of all snakes or something. Is how I kept
Maybe.
thinking about it.
It had a male voice,
Mitsumata.
didn't it?
What?
I remember it having a
is
male
voiced
voice.
by men in all languages, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I assumed it was a dude snake, but it can be hard to tell, you know.
Right. Yeah, Mitsumata is so cool. Like,
Yes.
what a good decision to have this like 2-headed, 3-headed snake. It's missing half its eyes and stuff.
Yeah, I think it has like it's missing one head, and then one head is like blinded, and then the third
Right.
one is normal.
Something like that. Yeah, but then once we start getting flashbacks that show like, you know, Boji's relationship with Mitsumata and how like Bebin is kind of I think Bebin was the only one pre-Kage who like actually knew what Boji's deal was because of that. You know, that's the kind of thing I was
Yeah.
talking about earlier, where it opens up a whole new dimension to his character that recontextualizes everything we've seen him do up to that point.
Right. I agree.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, Bebin I thought was definitely the strongest of the four. I think it helped that he was introduced. Well, I guess it's not introduced first. I guess like Domas was introduced pretty
Yeah.
early.
Bebin gets the most development fastest.
Yeah. But then we have Domas, who I actually kind of liked. I liked how he was like very noticeably conflicted over what his orders were.
Yeah. Domas the dumbass.
And like, even though he was betraying Boji, it's the kind of thing. It's like he's doing it because he was ordered to, and he wouldn't do it otherwise.
That's
Right.
the Nuremberg defense. We don't like that.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, I thought
following
one
orders.
of the best scenes in the entire show was when Hokuro confronts him after realizing that he killed Boji.
Is he
Right.
the guy with the crossbow?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
really care
Domas
for
like
him that
purposely doesn't Domas purposely lose a fight against him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lets him cut his arm off.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that was so good.
The thing I really, really enjoyed about Domas was there was some... I don't remember if they ever explained it. Somebody pointed it out to me before they would have, so I don't remember like having an aha moment over this. But there's the episode where Domas and Boji and Hokuro are all traveling, and weird things keep happening to Boji. Like, the meat gets knocked out of his hand.
Oh, yeah, right, the poison meat.
And Domas is like, oh, we're being attacked. But then it's actually Kage knocking poison.
Right.
It is
revealed that he was the one who poisoned the meat in the first place.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so someone pointed that out to me at the end of that episode, like after Kage, reveals himself at the very end of the episode. And then someone told me, like, oh, so the meat was poisoned by Domas and Kage knocked it out. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like, that's the only explanation here. Like, it had to be Kage. I mean, I knew it was Kage doing stuff, like when Boji's wallet came back, stuff like that. Yeah. I knew it was Kage doing stuff, but I thought there was some interesting content in there that was like a really cool reveal.
Yeah, I agree.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then the whole part of Domas's arc when like he thinks Boji is dead, so he's like getting orders from Bose to destroy the gate to the underworld and stuff like that, and he's kind of, I think, just going along with it because he feels like he's too far gone already.
Yeah,
like he's already sold his soul, so he might as well just keep doing what Bose and everyone else tells him to do, despite the fact that they are very clearly shady.
Yep.
Which then culminates in him realizing that Boji is still alive and having to turn around to becoming like the most devoted retainer. I really like that whole arc. It's very simple, but it's executed super well.
I agree. Yeah, there was never a point, unlike with Oppius, there was never a point where I was annoyed with Domas, I don't think.
Yeah.
I got a little annoyed with his constant groveling. He does it a lot.
I mean, that's true, but like overall, like it didn't seem like he was just switching sides like willy nilly like Oppius was. No. And like I actually would, whenever he was doing something, I understood like, all right, I know why this character is acting this way, and I can I can fully understand why someone would act this way right now, which is very important for liking a character.
Yeah. And it's cool, too, how he has, like, the realization at the end of how, even before he was ordered to betray Boji, how his actions were, like, really negative for Boji's well-being. Like, he was just training him in such a toxic way that was holding Boji back.
And he was the one who told Boji to, like, let Daida hit him. Like, he told him to lose in the fight.
Right. He was like, Boji, you're not allowed to dodge Daida's attacks anymore, and then Boji just gets the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, because he was like he was saying like, that's not the proper way to fight. Right. By dodging and stuff.
Fuck like, you, old man.
The future is now, old man.
In the future,
we dodge. And then the last member of the Big Four would be Dorch, who I feel like doesn't have like any development. I feel like he's like the most static of the four, but I also really like him.
He is very stoic, but I love him.
I don't understand why he threw his armor off while fighting all the dogs. I feel like the armor was doing a pretty good job protecting him as it was.
I feel like it was just to move better, like fight harder.
Yeah.
It's like he took it off and then he got a power up. Like
he took off the limiters. He had he did
the Goku / Naruto moment. He dropped the weights.
Right.
Went to town. He's a fucking unit. I love him so much.
Yeah.
Absolute unit is a very good way to describe him.
He wrestles like demon dogs.
Yeah. He's just cool.
He's just a cool guy. And I think he hooks up with Healing at the end.
I ship it. 100%.
I totally ship that, yeah.
Because Daida is like talking about marriage and all that stuff, and she starts like blushing and like
and she like wraps her arm around him.
Yeah, she grabs his arm. Yeah. I was like, I'm into that. I'm into that way more than I am into.
I mean, I guess it's kind of a downgrade from like dating a giant, I guess, but
Yeah, in some ways.
It was cool when he lost his eye in the fight in the courtyard.
Yeah, and his leg.
And his leg, yeah. He gets the leg back, but he does not regrow the eye.
No. Dude, healing, subtle naming there. Her healing.
I hated that.
It's working fucking overtime. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she really had the entire cast on her back.
Yeah,
What?
she hard carry.
Her name, man. I remember because we knew her name before we knew her about her powers at all.
Right.
So it was just like Queen Healing. And I was like, okay, that's a fine name. And then when they revealed that she started healing people, I was just like, fucking god damn it. I hate this.
I remember that episode in the Discord. Everyone being like, motherfucker.
like Japanese writers don't make a pun name challenge impossible.
Yeah.
Stop it. Why do you have to do this?
I mean, like Kage.
Kage, the
Kage
shadow.
literally just means shadow, yeah.
Boss, the boss. The big guy is named Boss.
I mean, Boji is a pun as well.
Is
it? On what?
OG and Bochi.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
I'm Prince and Lonely.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. The more you know.
He is
Wow,
a toy
challenge
Boji.
really is impossible.
Yeah. It's like literally every name.
It's better than like Boku no Hero Academia, where there's a character named Lightning Power.
That's just awesome.
Okay, now I need to commission fan art of Boji and Bochi. I want to see those two together.
Having rice with natto.
Yeah.
And
Boji won't care how bad it tastes because he can eat literal poison.
Right.
Nothing happens.
I need Boji hands emote.
Boji.
Boji hands.
Boji
Yeah.
hands.
Oh, okay. That was such a good reveal, though, with the like poison food thing when we find out that he is a giant. Like,
yeah, that's his giant blood.
Yes.
I think that was one of the biggest moments for me in terms of just being like, oh, shit is real fucky here.
Why is he
when
so
you find
small?
out when you find out that he is a giant like his dad, but has been cursed to be this like tiny and weak. Like, it's not just how he is. Like, it's something that was done to him.
Right. I do like that we got hints at that earlier as well, like much earlier as well. I don't remember exactly when. Was it after he met Despa? Did they like briefly mention that they could like sense a curse on him or something?
I think Despa mentioned that, yeah.
And it was like I kind of had an idea. I'm just like, well, Boji's cursed. I'm like, well, it has to be with his like size and power. Or, like, well, what else could he possibly be cursed about? Like,
right, yeah.
I guess his hearing.
What I don't understand is why that curse would take his hearing. I
don't think it did. I think that was just a.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe he's just naturally deaf, but
I think he's just deaf.
I don't remember what order these things were in now, but there's also the line when Bose reincarnates into Daida for the first time. I think his first line after that is like, "So I've consumed the power of another sun," or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that line kind of threw me off because the word "another" in there really throws me off.
Right.
Does that mean that Boji wasn't the first?
Well, no, I think what he was saying, the first
Boji was the first,
Boji
and Daida is the other.
The whole reason he had a son in the first place was because the demon told him that he could become the strongest man in the world by stealing power from his son.
His firstborn, yeah.
So that's when he like went out to find the most powerful woman he could in order to have a child.
Okay.
But then after that, I don't remember why it was like known that Bose was going to die young-ish.
I think he must have been like sick or something, right?
Yeah, some kind of sickness.
But Miranjo finds out that Bose is going to die at some point in the near-ish future, and then orchestrates having Boji's mom killed so that Bose can have a new wife and a new son, so that he'll be able to reincarnate like that.
Because giants can only have one kid. Well,
right.
Giant women, I guess.
Yeah.
Must have been the easiest childbirth of all time.
I know, seriously. He just falls right out.
But that makes me wonder, like, at what stage in the pregnancy did the powers get stolen? Like, was she, like, giant pregnant the entire time, and then this tiny little guy pops out and no one questions it?
Great question.
Or was it just not visible at all?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Life's greatest mysteries, you know?
Okay, I did just remember another of the sickest moments in the whole show, which is when Bose in Daida's form crushes the club into a diamond.
Yes.
Oh yeah. To prove that it is boss in the body.
Yeah, that's just like the
It's-
most absurd feat of strength I have ever
It's-
seen in an anime.
It's so cool. It's even in the OP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the OP, I don't know.
Speaking of OP.
I want to talk. I want to talk about the OP. I guess both of them, because I think they are both tremendous.
I agree.
I don't remember the first one at all, but the second one is just like
The second one is so
it's
good.
so fucking good. Like the song.
The first one is like
just
really cute
goosebumps.
sing-songy. It's like ba da da ba ba da
Yeah.
ba da da ba ba
Yeah,
ba.
Yeah,
It's very-
I do remember that. Yeah,
it's
it's,
very
just like
optimistic and
adventure song.
hopeful.
and the second
I
one's
don't-
just epic. Jesus
The second is
Christ,
so
it's
intense.
so good.
The second, yeah. So the first one is very optimistic, happy. You know, I was never that into it. It's not my kind of music, so I never really was that into it. I think it fit. I think it fit the show well. The one part of it that really drove me insane, because this is one of the shows where Crunchyroll, or I guess Funimation, or whoever, actually had the OPs translated. So they had the English lyrics on screen at the same time. I hated that they compared something to being flat like soda in the first OP, and it always made me think, what? They don't have soda in this show. This
soda
is a
isn't
medieval
flat.
fantasy show. Well, no, it was like, I mean, it was like comparing something bad to being like flat like soda or sadness or something.
Yeah.
It was a negative thing. And it always drove me off. It always threw me off because I was like, why soda? Like, who decided to put soda in the lyrics of the song about a medieval fantasy? So I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Well, they have magic.
But they don't have soda.
Maybe they can carbonate water with magic.
Maybe they can.
I
the fuck
love
knows?
both OPs though. They both
so that-
fit so well.
First one is just
The
fun.
second one I listen to every day. It's
It's just
so
nutty. It's so good.
amazing. The full version is even better. It is
Yes.
wild.
That's so rare for anime.
Oh, I haven't listened to the
OPs,
full
that
version.
The full version is like
Oh, the full version
doesn't fuck
is
it up.
so good.
epic.
Have you looked up any of Vondi's other music?
No. Is it as good?
Good. They all suck.
Okay, good. Then I'll leave it alone.
I looked up their other music. They have like no other rock songs.
Oh.
Like at all. It's like all
And
pop
I mean,
stuff.
kudos to doing such a great job on this one.
I was like, what?
You don't
What
do
happened? I keep wondering if I've looked up the right band or not.
Also, like the fucking the what happens in the OP, like the visuals and like the way everything is drawn,
Yeah.
it looks so cinematic. It's got depth of field. There's
Oh my
light
god,
rays.
the motherly
the
theme at the
POV
end.
running through the forest, and when
Yeah.
it breaks into the chorus, you get like Bose swinging in the club and like Earth. Oh my god!
Yeah, there's like both swinging the club. There's like the shot of Despa like with his hand clenched and like the lightning flashing in his eyes.
Yeah, and his
every time
eyes.
now it
Yeah,
came
oh
up,
my
I was like,
God.
oh my god, this guy's gonna fuck some shit up.
God. Ah.
My big
fucking
takeaway
good.
was the lyrics for that song. I think
The
are
lyrics
really
are good. Yeah.
Watching reading
Yeah.
the lyrics as it goes. I've teared up watching that OP before.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Every
It just- it
week.
just really
Throw off the
strong.
malice that comes from anger, or something like, or throw off the power that comes from malice. Like that's
And
such a good
of course,
line.
I watch this. Of course, I watch the show every week at my desk at work. So not really the space. I'm not really supposed to be
Just
crying
weeping.
over an OP, but
It's
know,
that fucking meme of One Piece was really good this week.
it
Just
is what
weeping
it
on the
is.
staircase.
But I love the motherly theme towards the end when you get the
Yeah.
shot of Bebin with the snake, and then immediately into
Healing,
Kage with his
hugging
mom, and then
Boji,
immediately
and-
into Boji with healing. It's just like, oh, it's
and
so
it also has
good.
like Daida lying on his bed talking to the mirror too in that
Yeah.
little sequence.
yes,
Yeah.
the most wholesome we've ever seen Miranjo up to that point.
Just like talking.
My favorite part was that Miranjo had a book in front of her. Like, how she can't turn pages.
Magic.
I did not parse that, but that is really funny.
She can process her doll body to
Yeah.
like go turn the page.
One of the
Can she?
first shots of that OP2 is like after the bit with like the shadow crown. And then
Yeah.
there's like the two of them walking down the street. Once it starts getting into like the cool montagey bit, you have like the the Knights of the Underworld charging in that like incredibly cool cinematic thing. But then you also have like the mob with the stakes
the
with
300
the Shadow Clan impaled
slow-mo
on them.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that there's a shot from the final episode in the OP. Oh, they also changed the OP in the last episode. I don't know if anyone noticed that.
They did? How?
I didn't notice.
I don't recall Daida and Boji smiling next to each other until the final episode. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but I didn't notice until the final episode.
I'm bad at noticing this kind of stuff.
But there's a shot in the OP of the POV of someone above the castle. It's like the exact same as when they threw Boji up.
Oh. Yeah, that's cool.
Which I also screenshotted because they're like, hip hip hooray, and they toss him in the air, and he goes like 300 feet.
I was like,
he's very light.
That is not safe. That is not safe.
And you would think they were just on the ground like, oh shit. Fuck, I didn't mean to throw him that
There are also
far.
the shots of like the waterfall that Bose and Miranjo go to see together.
Yep.
There's so
Very
much
good
packed
OP.
in there.
I
It looks
really
beautiful.
enjoy OPs that know and understand the source and can like put in things like they can put in future content but keep it subtle.
It gives it such an epic feel.
I appreciate rather than just ones that are like these are the characters and that's all you'll see for the next minute and a half.
There's so many cases OPs feel like a major afterthought, just like, oh, we have to have it. Here's 90 seconds of nothing.
I don't think either of you watched Police in a Pod.
No.
Nope.
I watched
That
Comic
is-
Girls, though. That was the...
Well, okay, Police in a Pod has what I would say is the least inspired OP visually I have ever seen in my entire life. It is so boring. It is just, here are these characters standing there. Mm-hmm. Here's another shot of them standing there. I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad. It's like they got an intern to throw this together in 5 minutes. Like, what is this? But yeah, this OP is great. I was trying to find...
I think it's like an instant top 10 OP of all time, I think.
That
Yeah,
is
it could
some
be.
pretty high praise.
Epic.
I was trying to find the updated version of it. Anime Themes doesn't seem to have it, unfortunately, so I can't screenshot change. But I'm pretty sure the Daida was not in the OP previously. They also added the young demon, I think, in the penultimate episode.
Okay, that would make sense. I did notice that one and had a feeling of like, oh, that's the young demon. I don't remember noticing that before, but I thought I was just like not processing it.
Well, they had
Not that
the
it
young
was
demon
added
at
in.
one point. They had the demon and Miranjo running through the forest
Yeah.
the whole time.
No, but
towards
there's the later
end,
one
there
where
was a
there's like the
shot.
big
Yeah.
demon with its back to us and the young one in
Right.
front of
That,
it.
I believe, was added in the penultimate episode.
Okay.
And then maybe the Daida one was added there too. I only noticed it in the last episode, where it looked like Daida and Boji looking. It was like the camera was in the rock that Oaken was in, or something, or it was no. It was like they broke something, some kind of shell, and it was them looking into it. I don't
Okay.
remember. I'd have to go
I don't
find it
remember
and
that one
screenshot it
either.
again or something.
Take your word
Yeah.
for it.
On the subject of the demon, every time the demon showed up in the story, I had forgotten it existed. So it was always like a huge oh shit moment for me, because like, oh, there's a demon in this show. What's it mean?
What's it do? What's it mean? No.
I thought the demon was pretty cool. I liked
I
it.
agree.
I saw a lot of people very disappointed with how they, like, beat the demon. Where they just kind of offered him something seemingly small. Like, oh, we'll give you your head if you do this huge thing for us. Right?
Yeah.
Well, your head is
Well,
important.
I presume that that's going to come back to bite Daida at some point in the future.
Probably. But I was reading through the thread on Reddit, and a lot of people, were saying, like, oh, that's it? Why didn't the demon just, like, kill them all and take his head back? Like, why would he even accept that trade?
Because
and
devils
people-
like deals.
And people
Yeah.
were pointing out, like, throughout all kinds of mythology, there's demons and stuff that accept, like, trades that seem stupid to make.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll give you... I can't remember what example you used, but there's, like, something like... someone gave someone a demon as something as insignificant as like a piece of food for their wife to come back to life or something. It's just like, why not, right? Like, just such a weird trade to make, but
yeah,
the demons are so...
That's like a very fairy tale sort of thing. It's like you make a deal with like some evil entity that seems like a great deal for you, and then circumstances conspire in a way you could never predict to make it incredibly important.
And that, I mean, it all harkens back to this feeling like it feels like kind of a European fairy tale, kind of like Brothers Grimm, stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
With their whole mythology of the entire setting, really.
Right.
People doing some seemingly illogical, crazy shit, but it's just like that's what a prince does. That's what a king does.
Right.
Such as Daida offering to marry Miranjo after the whole ordeal.
Oh my! I did not
Which
like
was
that.
so out of left field, but I'm like, well, it's a fairy tale. Who cares?
I mean, to be fair, he has been with her for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, just Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think Stockholm syndrome, because he wasn't like held prisoner by her. Like, for so long, she was like just his mentor. He was around her so much in his life.
True.
Yeah. That is a really good point. It's not like we just perceive Miranjo as like the villain of the story, which she obviously is.
She is.
But she and Daida do have like a very long relationship that is clearly very important to him.
And the time spent in whatever fucking like Shadow Realm, only talking with her doll or whatever.
Right.
He's like such a different person when he comes back out. He's acting like a king.
Yeah.
I didn't really get why that was the case, but
I think it's just because he got taken so far off his high horse.
Yeah, he got knocked down a couple pegs.
Yeah, he really got knocked down a lot of pegs.
He learned some humility in there.
Oh, this was yet another flashback scene, but I really liked the little bit, and I don't remember what the significance of it was now, but it's when there's like a fire in the town, and everyone's trying to help put it out, and Boji is carrying his like tiny cup of water, and like not being very helpful, and then Daida comes through with like the huge pot. I thought that was like one of the first signs we saw of Daida being like having good qualities to him and not just being a huge asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the bit where it's like the two kids are like picking on Boji, and Daida comes out of the shadows and he's like, "You know who we are?"
It never felt
know
like
where Dad is.
The thing about Daida to me is he never felt like. I mean, early on it was like, okay, this guy's kind of an asshole. But as the show went on, I never felt like he was a bad person. Like, it seemed more like he was just kind of jealous of Boji, even if he still really
jealous and
respected
spoiled
him as his brother.
Entitled to the
right.
But he did have that aura of like, well, I'm obviously more fit to be the king. I'm not disabled, right? Like I should be the king. But it never felt like he wanted to like play that card too much.
No, instead, like
he wanted to be the king because he was the best candidate to be the king, not just because he felt entitled to it.
Well, he got kind of roped along with the whole Miranjo's plan because she was like offering him power, something.
Right, and that's the other thing I was going to bring up, is we do have to acknowledge the fact that he does order Domas to kill Boji.
Does he or does Bose?
It's him. That's before the reincarnation.
He goes a little mad with power. The prospect of power.
Right. But he's being manipulated by Miranjo at that point.
I thought it was still Bose at that point, and no one knew it was him yet.
No, he does that. That's like the first thing he does after becoming king. Is he purges the big four of the people who didn't support him. And then he tells Bebin to kill Appius, and he tells Domas to kill Boji. And then it's after that he's visited by the ranking of King's guy and gets his ass beat by the golem. And the guy's like, "Wow, you're like the bottom ranked king or whatever." And then Miranjo says, "Oh, do this weird ritual and you'll become strong." But actually it's tricking him into bringing Bose back.
Right. Putting him in a blender, drinking him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was man.
That's really
forgot.
strange.
I forgot they did that.
Oh,
Me
here's
too.
your giant dad. Blend.
Don't breathe that.
How do we feel about Boss and his whole role? in
I
this
liked
entire
him
thing?
less as the show went on.
He seemed more and more just like genuinely a psychopath.
Yeah,
Right.
like at the beginning of the show, I was like, I'm like, this dude is awesome. He's so strong, but he still treats Boji with so much respect. Like, I'm like, he's like a really cool dad. It's too bad he died. And then as you go, it's like, actually, this guy's kind of a shit. Like,
Yeah.
he was
All he
dealing
ever
with
did
people
was for his
specifically.
Power.
Yeah, everything he did was for his own benefit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
oh,
think
yeah,
those.
I'll- just to
I'll just
use
sacrifice
them.
my kids. Why not?
Yeah.
Who cares? Oh, you're gonna kill my wife? Okay.
And then
Like,
when
at-
he's
at the
reincarnated
start
as
of the
Dinah,
show-
he's like ordering people to kill Hilling and Boji, and he's like ordering all these hits on his family.
Right. Well, it's like Miranjo is ordering the hits, but then people are like looking to him for confirmation, and he's like, whatever.
He doesn't seem very
Yeah.
invested in saving anyone.
I think my trajectory with Bose at least was at the start he seems like, he's the only good guy, he's the only person who's nice to Boji. And then as time goes on, he starts becoming more and more of the villain of the story. But
Yeah.
in the end, once we learn everything about his past, I don't feel like he was the villain as much as he's just like kind of a shitty dude who doesn't care about anyone but himself.
Yeah.
He never wanted or really tried to hurt anybody. He just only cared about
Well, he cared
his own
about
strength.
Miranjo. Like, she tried
That's
to kill
true, yeah.
herself, and he stopped her. And
Yeah, that's true.
he cared about her, but not enough to marry her? I don't really get it.
I think they had like a parental relationship.
Maybe. Well, I don't think she saw it that way.
Yeah, well, maybe not. But like all of the bad things that happened in the story basically just go back to the two of them having like a really toxic codependency.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did everything for himself, and she did everything for him.
Right.
And made some deals with the devil, and...
They also never really addressed the fact that he killed her dad for no reason.
I
kill
don't
Miranjo's dad?
recall that.
Yeah. Well, the way Bose gets to the kingdom where she lives with like the war with the gods and everything is because Miranjo's dad was a wizard, was like a powerful wizard, and Bose wanted to like fight him. So Bose kills
that's
her
ringing a
dad and
bell.
is like badly wounded in the process, and then Miranjo's mom like heals him back up.
What a nice lady.
Yeah. And that's like the lead into
Okay.
how talking about how Miranjo's mom was just like ridiculously nice to everybody.
How did she die?
Right.
She was killed by the people from the other kingdom after they betrayed them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole thing with like the two other villages, I had a really hard time paying attention during all of that.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
what is
more of,
what is
the like so
happening?
many flashbacks I was talking about. Just hard to keep all
I
the
had a really
different
hard time
flashbacks straight.
following a lot of
Um,
that. Okay.
Yeah, because like they go there to help them, and they fuck him up in return. And Miranjo is like tied to a pole, has her hands cut off, it seems like. And Boss gets mad, understandably. Like, how could you do this to a kid? What the fuck?
yeah. That scene where he just like obliterates the town after finding her that way is so
yeah,
nasty. He's like grinding
Oh,
people
so
into
violent.
a paste. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty hardcore, pretty metal.
The show is definitely rich for a rewatch. To like get everything straight now that we know the truth about all the events and motivations, and also
Right.
just to like unravel all of the character dynamics because they are
And
so rich.
The show seems so well put together that I
Right.
feel like if you were to rewatch it, you would notice, I think, so many things. like foreshadowing probably, or like not really foreshadowing necessarily, because a lot of characters have like pasts that you learn about, but I'm sure that present day they act in a a appropriate way. I don't know if that's the right word, but like if you know their past and seeing how they act, you might go, oh, that makes more sense now. Like I get what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be I think that would be a pretty interesting rewatch. Would recommend this to. I would not have a problem with. This is like one of the shows where it's like if I were to tell someone to watch it, I'd be like, I'll watch it with you, 100%. Like,
totally.
Let's go through this for sure.
Yeah.
If nothing else, then to get to the great OP.
Right.
Well, I mean, I just have it on Spotify. I just click on it.
Is it on Spotify? I have to find it on.
It is on Spotify.
Nice.
Great. I'm gonna find it right now so I don't forget.
Okay. So
what the fuck? These titles are all in Japanese. I can't read this.
just listen to the first couple seconds of each one. You'll find it.
No.
It's one of the ones with the strawberry picture. I'll give you that. I'll tell you that much.
Strawberry. Oh, okay. There's a little sword on it. That's probably it.
Okay. So the show adaptation of an ongoing manga. Extremely well set up for sequels. They set up such a huge world, and we saw so little of it, especially so little of the ranking of kings, which is the entire
titular ranking,
concept. What do you guys want to see out of season 2?
I was honestly kind of happy where it ended. I don't think they have to do a season 2, but I would love to see the brothers. Desha, Despa, Oaken, like that whole thing resolved.
The continuation
Oaken's
of their
head
story.
is now in the belly of a fish.
Right.
I like that because
he got JoJo twice.
Because I was annoyed with like the first way he gets defeated is so demeaning, like just squished, compacted, and put into a rock.
So I fully expected
brutal. I was expecting him to roll him up and like bat him into space.
Yeah, I was expecting to just launch it, like just chuck him into outer space.
Yeah.
Or not even into space necessarily, but just like wait and take him to a different kingdom or something. It's just like, all right,
but
see
then
ya, Oaken.
and then we get the ending where that does kind of happen. This guy comes over, chops his head off, yeets it into a lake.
Yeah. That whole sequence is so cool. Like, especially the little detail of like he chops the head off, then throws the head, and then, like the immortality juice
goo,
tries to shoot back out to connect the head again, and he cuts that in half too. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Did anyone else notice? Oh, speaking of that guy, of Kingbo.
He's the guy dancing on the hilltop, right?
No, he's the son of the guy dancing on the hilltop.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a great pickup you noticed.
What
I never would have gotten that.
He's like some kind of exiled king, right?
Yes.
Well, we don't know anything about that guy. He was just some weird guy in a hole.
There's
in the
a lot
ground.
of those,
except for the fact that he was wearing a crown.
Yeah, he was some weird cannibal guy, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he a cannibal?
Probably.
I don't think he was a cannibal, but his whole thing was like hunt, eat, devour weaker creatures.
I thought like Boji had to get away from him. Wasn't Boji in danger?
Oh yeah, he was going to eat Boji, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. You could probably just eat Boji like an apple, just like a handful. Crunch.
But so all we knew about this guy was this is some weird king who apparently his kingdom went to hell or something, and now he's living out here in the middle of nowhere. In part of Kingbo's backstory, you could like, I don't remember the exact details, but I remember like noticing like, oh, that's the king that Boji met, like that dance that we have the GIF of, the Ousama Ranking Thursday GIF. It's that guy,
right?
And I was like, oh, it's Kingbo's his son. I wonder what that means. Nothing apparently, but I thought it was interesting.
I keep remembering and forgetting. Like, what was the point of Miranjo releasing all those guys from hell?
She wanted to destroy the kingdom so that Bose wouldn't have any responsibilities and they could just go continue adventuring together.
Yeah, because she like hired them to take down the kingdom.
Right.
But then it seemed like anything she did was like signed off by Bose, but she did that without Bose knowing.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of the people that she released, I like that big ogre.
Yeah,
I don't remember his name.
So whatever his name was.
Yeah, Gigan, something like that.
Gigan, that was it. Although I was really annoyed with his backstory.
What annoyed you about his backstory?
because, he was working with, like the army that like Despa and Oaken's father was running, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yes.
No,
And
he was fighting with the
Well, he was like a
brothers.
mercenary.
against
Oh yeah,
the
they
dad.
were against his dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to kill
against his
their
dad.
father.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he's working with them, and he's the only ogre they have with them.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have a child ogre, and they're like, "Hey, I know how we can get all these enemy ogres to like make mistakes. We kill one of these children, it makes all the ogres go berserk. Let's do it." They do it. He goes berserk, and they're like, "He's a traitor." And it's like,
Hey, what the
you
fuck, traitor?
literally caused this.
Not
You
cool.
just said your action will make all of them do this involuntarily, and then you're mad at him for doing that involuntarily.
I'm
Like,
guessing that
you
they
caused
just
it.
assumed
I
that-
don't think it was involuntarily. I think they were just torturing the kids to use it as bait. I don't
But
think
they
it was
said
like an
that-
involuntary response.
Well, they said that it makes hurting one of the children makes the ogres go berserk, as if that was like just a thing that happens.
I thought they were just
fact.
like, this will really piss them off.
Yeah,
Check this
that
out.
was also my perception of it.
But I get the feeling that they didn't think he would react strongly to it because he's already like against his people. He's already like quote unquote betrayed his entire people by siding with the enemy.
Yeah, I guess. I just thought I didn't.
Like maybe he's so detached from their
Yeah.
culture that he wouldn't
but I
really give a
think-
shit.
I think part of
It
the
was just
point
a-
of Gigun's backstory is supposed to,
In theory,
make us
confuse
doubt
it.
a little bit about the brothers. Because
Yeah.
then there is a scene
Yeah, 'cause-
afterwards, I think, between Despa and Oaken,
Yeah.
where they say something about like, "Oh, that was a horrible thing we did, but like we have
that's
to do
war,
it
I
so
guess.
that
Yeah.
because it's war, we have to do it so that Dessa can take the throne from our father." And then there's like, I remember the scene because Oaken is like, and once we do that, like I'm going to establish like the Knights of the Underworld to be like the perfect chivalrous knight order. And it's like this sad scene because then it cuts back to like contrast against what he's become now.
Yeah. I guess the point is,
Right.
it's tough being king, you know? It's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
I just didn't like how that whole conflict was essentially surprise Pikachu.
Right.
And it was like, all right.
Yeah.
It was pretty short-sighted, but then again, they were not
speaking
really
of-
portrayed as smart people, just ruthless.
Yeah, going back to Oaken, you mentioned what he's become. Do we know how we don't know how he got to that state, right?
I think they just say like after he became immortal.
Like
He's
they
clearly
are.
cursed
It's
somehow.
like they have some kind of power, all of them, don't they? Like Despa, I forget who's who.
Despa is the
King Man, he can like call down lightning. He can make like
That's
thunder.
Despa is the guy
Despa
with the
can
poofy
call down
pants.
lightning. Despa can like talk to the brothers.
He
Yeah.
can like, I don't know what he can do.
So they
he
said
can-
that, okay. I was
can
looking
zoom.
this up the other day in order to like refresh myself on the order of everything. So their father was a god. He was the king of the underworld. He became
Okay.
obsessed with like the concept of immortality, and was convinced that.
Oh yeah, the dad.
And this
right,
kind of like calls ahead to what we learned about, or calls back to like the same stuff with Bose, where he's like, the key to immortality lies in like reproduction. So he has 3 sons with a human woman, just like to see what'll happen. And
It's just a prank, bro. It's a social
so
experiment.
the oldest one of them, Desha, who's the king, like basically has the powers of a god. He's like pretty much a god in all
Yeah.
intents and purposes. Despa doesn't have any superpowers, I don't think. He might have like one little thing, but he basically is
He
just
can, like,
a normal guy.
He can like call the others and talk to them.
he
like
can like
his
talk
hand.
into his hand. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
I don't think we ever saw any of the other. I mean, we obviously didn't see Oaken doing it, but I don't think we
yeah,
saw
here
the
we
others doing that ahead of time to him. Right.
Okay, so I looked it up on the wiki. Despa inherited a very small amount of his father's power. This power manifests as the ability to sense the strengths and weaknesses of anything he touches, including living beings.
So Boji, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Oaken is the youngest. He doesn't have any like god powers, but he is immortal. Yeah, though he initially believed he hadn't inherited any of his father's power, on his 25th birthday he discovered that his body would rapidly heal any injury.
What the
Oaken's
fuck did
power
they
had
do on his
manifested his
25th
immortality,
birthday?
the very ability
What
that his father
happened?
coveted.
More like what was happening before his 25th birthday where he never got injured?
Never gotten injured before? Yeah.
And then the 25th, he goes like cut in half somehow.
Yeah.
25th
Holy
bachelor
shit.
party involved the guillotine. It was wild.
Oh, do it again. Maybe going crazy is maybe it's something like every time he dies, I guess, like he remembers the pain.
Yeah,
He's
I
like
don't know,
a
something like
master
that.
warrior, but he survives much more than he should.
It could be. I've definitely seen a lot of shows will play on what immortality does to somebody, or maybe not necessarily immortality, but like these are some slight spoilers for Log Horizon. But every time
that's right.
every time they die in that show and they get respawned, they lose part of their memories of the real world.
But they also get to there's some reason they do it. There's some people who keep doing it over and over and over again because they get some kind of glimpse of where they came from.
Or something, I don't remember. But yeah,
It's like a whole death cult in Log Horizon of people who just die on purpose to respawn. Because before you respawn, you are in this like limbo state, and then you come back.
It's also
Right.
like a thing in Monogatari that like the vast majority of vampires end up dying by suicide
Because you go
because
crazy.
of their immortality.
Yeah.
Interesting. But like we were saying, like it's weird that he went from Oaken in the past with the cool mustache to Oaken, the crazy murderous fiend, in like 5 years.
Okay, I thought it was low-key really funny. There's one bit, I don't remember which part of the fight it's in, but like they break his helmet and you see like under his like creepy face mask, he does still look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you never get to see his crushed body
Right.
as a person. He's always in the armor.
Yeah.
And he has that laugh that reminds me of like the dog from Wacky Races.
Oh, like, what's his name? Muttley?
Muttley?
Muttley, yeah.
It's like this weird, like, dry cackling. Like, he's forgotten how to laugh.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just here to reference cartoons from before the year 2000.
Muttley? And he has the Dick Dastardly beard. It's perfect. It's 2 in 1.
Yep.
All right, so we're definitely still invested in the three Underworld brothers plot.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to know more about them.
I don't
there
really
anything
care
else
much about Daida and
we wanna see
Miranjo's
more of?
weird little thing.
Yeah.
But of course, like, it ends with Boji going off to establish his own kingdom. Like, he's gonna become king again, but he's gonna do what his dad did and make his own.
Well, hopefully he doesn't do what his dad did.
No, he's gonna do exactly what his dad did.
The cycle
Find
continues.
a giant woman and seduce her.
And then Kage gets put into a mirror.
It's perfect.
I just want to see more kings.
I think that Boji's adventure will take him to, like, he's not just gonna start a kingdom, right? He's not just like, all right.
No, he's gonna go all around the world, and he's gonna get like a posse.
He's gonna go see other kingdoms, right? See how things operate. So
probably
I think that
the next
might
arc
be
in the. I'm guessing the next part of the manga is him visiting the other kingdoms, and we get to see the kings
and more of the ranking of kings.
Yeah,
well, you guys mentioned it in your seasonal impression for this season, or for last season, for fall, whenever this show started.
Whenever it started,
fall, I think. Where you pointed out, like, yeah, they, all the kings are ranked and stuff, and then Bose, the strongest the strongest person on Earth, is ranked 15th, and it's like, what?
No, he wasn't 15th. He was 5th.
Wasn't he 15th?
Second?
Despa is second.
No, wait, that was Desha.
And now he's first.
Desha was
But Bose was
okay.
5th. Yeah.
Oh, I thought
What
it was
happened to the
15th.
first place? That was like that weird like.
Or no,
bald
okay,
guy,
I looked
right?
it up. Bose was 7th in the King's ranking.
7th.
That's crazy. Who the fuck are the others? And how do you even rank them?
It's funny how our brains just latch onto the concept of a ranking. You know? All they have to tell us is that, okay, Bose is 7th and Despa is 2nd, and they're like, I'm invested. I want to know more.
Yeah. It's a tier list of kings.
Yeah.
For the longest time in Boku no Hero Academia, they say like, oh, the top 10 heroes, and there was a very, very long period of time when we didn't know who third place was, and it was this huge thing in the community of like, holy shit, who's the third place hero? Like, oh, I gotta figure this out. Like, we
we
gotta figure this
know
out.
all of them except for 3.
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah.
3, we didn't even know who it was. Like, we didn't have a name or anything, and everyone's like, we gotta look through. Horikoshi has to have like a tease in here somewhere
Is
for the third
Chainsaw
hero.
Man? Is it the Chainsaw Man cameo? Is he number 3?
This was before Chainsaw Man.
Oh,
I think.
and who's now
I
just
think-
Saw Man, which is so funny.
I think 3 ended up being like Hawks, but we didn't know who Hawks was.
That
at the
makes
time.
sense. Yeah.
But,
Okay.
But it was like for a long time in the community, it was like, who is this? Who's this mysterious
fuck
number
is it?
3? Where are they? People were like, oh, I bet he's like in America on mission or something, and it's just like all these wild fan theories. So it's almost like
And then
that,
eventually
like,
it was just like a guy who hadn't been relevant yet.
right. Oh, he just hasn't been introduced yet.
He's just
okay.
Yeah.
He's just a pro, you know.
But you throw rankings into the mix, and everyone loses their minds.
Yeah.
We forgot.
It's funny
to
how the
mention,
brain works that way.
Oh, sorry. The whole thing of like Boji like banging his head against the wall that is Oaken for like 7 episodes, fighting him, losing, and then in one episode just bodying Boss, completely just shitting on him. In like the fucking crazy Sakuga fight.
Oh yeah, with like
That
giant
was so
Dinah.
good. And like the way it's presented is like these. It's not presented as him fighting Daida. It's presented as him fighting this big like projection of Boss. Just
Yeah.
It's
demolishing
very much
everything.
David versus Goliath.
Yeah,
Totally.
it looks
That scene.
so fucking awesome.
I think the reason that he was able to fight Bose as much better than Oaken was because his like stabs actually work on Bose.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
really do
Yeah.
anything.
Like the whole point of him fighting Oaken is that he has no weakness. He's immortal.
Yeah.
Right.
You
They
can
set
break
up
his
from the
armor and
moment
his
Oaken is
weapons.
first introduced, Despa saying, like, whatever you do, don't
Don't
let,
fight.
Do not.
let
do
Boji
not
fight
let-
Oaken. Like, Oaken is the perfect opponent.
Yeah, it's like he can
then-
do his precision strikes and like knock him down, break his armor and sword. Nothing matters. He just gets back up.
Right.
And what happens like literally 2 minutes after that warning? Oh, Boji's fighting Oaken.
Oh yeah, fucking let's go.
Whatever you do, don't let this happen. Oh, it's already
Fight
happening.
Oaken,
Sorry.
got it.
It'd be like you open up a chest and there's a note inside that says, "Whatever you do, don't open this chest." Oops.
Oh yeah, it's like literally when we were told, don't let them fight. They had already met. Like they were facing off. I think.
Right. Great example of, like, a tiny side character who doesn't really do anything important, but you can't help but love. It's the captain of the Knights of the Underworld.
Oh yeah, he has a fucking
yeah.
mustache on his helmet, dude.
Yeah.
His helmet
Yeah,
has a
he-
mustache carved into it.
It does. I love that.
And the
Those
lightning
guys,
bolt over the
when you
eye.
talk about Dorch being an absolute unit, those guys are absolute units.
Those guys are so
Nah,
sick.
he got nothing on Dorch.
The whole sequence of, like, Domas on the staircase trying to stop them from invading the kingdom.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah.
How can he
was
lose?
great.
He
And
had the higher ground.
Deso walks through and just beats his ass.
You know what? Fuck, get out of the way. What are you doing? What are you doing? Bam.
I really enjoyed. That made me think about like when Boji jumped in the way and blocked the attacks and stuff. I thought Boji's like weapon he was given was really, really good. I remember there was like a couple episodes
I knew
where
it right
everyone's-
away.
where the whole
Yeah.
community was speculating like, "Ooh, what weapon is Boji gonna get?" I was thinking he's gonna get like a I was thinking a slingshot or a bow and arrow. It was like some kind of projectile was what I was thinking.
Well, he has no strength. That's the whole thing. He wouldn't be able to draw a slingshot very
he might
hard.
get a fishing rod for a second because of Gon from Hunter x Hunter. I was like, oh, maybe he'll get a fishing rod. That would be pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, I had a feeling right away when they were told, like, oh, there's a weapon that's perfect for him. It's like, it's got to be fencing, right? Because you're like nimble and you stab, like precision needle attack.
Yeah.
That's what he's really good at.
Good call. I was really excited to see what they pulled out.
Maybe and also he's somehow able to like sense the weak point of anybody he fights. He's a little OP.
That's
like
the
there's that
Despa
scene
dream,
of Bose like talking to the mirror and being like, "Who's the strongest person in the world?" Oh, it's Boji. Oh,
right. Yeah, that happens very quickly.
No kidding, huh?
And he's like, "Well, shit, my whole plan." Like I was.
No, he's like smiling. He seems happy about it for some reason.
Yeah. That's part of Bose being like weirdly.
Like, weird, that's probably just like giant culture.
Hard to understand.
It's like Goku. He just loves a good fight.
He's like Hisoka.
But could Boss beat Goku? Could Boji beat Goku?
But if we had Boji fight Saitama, who would win?
Saitama would never land a punch.
It takes one punch for him to win, but he has to hit.
Yeah, but what if he fought Oaken? Who would win?
What if One Punch Man would punch Oaken into space?
Yeah. Yeah, Saitama could definitely beat Oaken.
That's true.
But I don't think he can beat Boji because he has to hit.
And then this whole thing reminded me of a manga that's currently running in Shonen Jump, called The Elusive Samurai, which is about not a samurai, he's a prince actually, but the whole thing is that he can evade everything, and that's all he does. And when I started watching Boji, I was just like, this is just like Elusive Samurai, except good.
I can't wait for that to get an anime adaptation in 3 years, and everyone to say it's a ripoff of Ranking of Kings.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear that.
I mean, honestly. Is it good? Besides that, is it good?
I don't care for it. We'll see. It's
probably
going
to be huge then.
It's pretty popular, but it's from the Assassination Classroom writer.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. That's why I've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't really care for it because I feel like that got old. It was like, oh, he can dodge. Okay. Is he going to do anything after that?
It's a limiting power.
Yeah, he just dodges enough and someone else attacks the guy from behind. Oh.
Like, if literally all Boji could do was dodge, that would be kind of boring.
And then I'm also currently watching Iruma-kun. What's that show called? Demon School? Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun. It's about a human who is adopted by a demon and sent into a demon school. But anyway, the whole thing about that is he's incredibly good at dodging. So they played dodgeball and he could not be hit. And it was just like, I was watching it like, hey, it's Boji.
Oh, look.
You can dodge everything.
Everyone is Boji.
Everyone is Boji. Everyone wants to be Boji.
Go on a stream and watch someone play Elden Ring. They're dodging all around. Oh, it's just like it's a fucking Ranking of Kings reference.
Just ripping off. Holy shit! Is that a motherfucking Ousama Ranking reference?
Okay, hang on. I was just flipping through the episode with like the staircase fight scene.
Yes.
Looking for it, and I had forgotten how Despa actually beats Domas, and he does like the huge swings of the club to throw him off balance and make him really nervous, and then he just walks up and kicks him in the nuts.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I just remembered it when you said that. I remember him doing like a feint and then just kicking him in the nuts.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so perfect. That's so him. He's like out. Tremendously powerful. Like, probably now the most powerful character in the series.
Yeah.
And
has no shame about taking a low blow.
Just kind of a dick.
Oh, he's a huge dick.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to the top by playing fair, you know?
It's true.
Sometimes you gotta hire Blackwater to fight your battles. Other times you gotta kick people in the dick.
I don't see recruiting Blackwater anytime soon.
But that's basically what, like, he hired those mercenaries who were, like, torturing people.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I feel like they were, like, the fantasy version of, like, real-life deranged mercenary companies.
Private military contractors.
Private military contractors, yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Nope.
Good show. Would recommend.
Good show. Would recommend.
Everybody should
Although,
watch
if you've
this.
listened this far, we spoiled the whole thing.
But, I mean, that's true. But I wonder how it's doing on Mal currently now that it's over.
I think it's doing really good.
Yeah.
It was in the top, like, 25 for a while, but I wonder where it is now.
It's at 877.
It's got an
ranked
8.7 on Mal.
Yep,
It's 34th, it says.
Ranked 34th.
Popularity 550. That's pretty dang good.
Like, it's gotten really big. I'm very confident we're going to see a season 2. Eventually, I have no idea how much manga content there is, if there's enough yet for a season 2.
Yeah,
But
who knows?
I'm sure we'll be seeing more of
Just
this
make
down
it
the
one
road.
core. Fucking Studio Wit, just killing it.
Oh, Wit is... Man. I'm looking forward to everything Wit puts out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since, like, you know, obviously, ever since they dropped Attack on Titan.
They did Great Pretender after that. That was fucking great.
They did Great Pretender. They did...
Vivi, which looked
Yeah,
unbelievable.
They're doing Spy X Family.
They're doing Spy Family with somebody else, right? With Cloverworks, yeah. They're working with Cloverworks on that one. They have, they did Vivi, they did Great Pretender. So, like, they're killing it with the originals. Obviously, this one's not original, but you love to see it.
You love to see it.
Love to see it. And on that note, thank you so much for coming on again, Smurf.
Yeah, of course.
And
anytime.
thank you to everyone listening. This was like just such of a joy of a show to watch and talk about. And talking about it has made me even more excited than I was before to rewatch it. So I'll probably be doing that soon.
It's just...
We'll be rewatching...
So one quick thing is I wanted to ask you, if someone asked you what this show was about, what would you say?
Oh, that's a good question.
Adventure.
I was telling a friend of mine...
It's about family. That's what's so powerful about it.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was telling him about like anime that I was watching. I was telling him about Platinum End and how terrible the ending of it was. I was telling him about like Takagi-san and stuff like that. And I got to Ousama Ranking, and I was like, "This is the best show. Like, it's so good." And he goes, "Oh, what's it about?" And I'm like, "Well,
it's about a lot of things."
I'm like, "How do I describe Ousama Ranking to somebody?"
Well, I'm guessing that's why the title is like Ranking of Kings, because what could you call it even other than that? The Prince and something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not
the
only
shadow.
about the Ranking of Kings, but that is like the all-encompassing event of the whole thing.
I mean, I guess, but not
like
really.
the container.
I feel like if you removed the ranking entirely, the show wouldn't change much at this point.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Not at all. But there's nothing else you can
I would
call it.
say
Like, the Demon and the Mirror? I don't know.
Yeah. I would say it's about like a tiny deaf boy who's a prince, but like because of his weakness, like has the kingdom taken away from him, and then goes on a quest to like become stronger and learn about why those things have happened to him or something like that. I don't know. It is hard to explain,
Yeah,
especially
I think
without
you did.
spoilers.
I think you did a pretty good job, though. I was nothing. I was meaning to ask it. It slipped my mind, but we can.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump into that right at the end during the
No
outro.
problem. I'm glad you slipped it in there. All right. On that point, thank you everyone for listening. And we will check us out on plugs. Check us out on Twitter at Tokyo Podfathers. We're on YouTube and everywhere else podcasts are. I don't know. I hate doing this part.
On Spotify, on Apple Podcasts,
Like, subscribe,
Google
smash
Play.
that like button, turn on the bell
ring
for
the bell.
notifications.
Check out our Discord.
Post some comments. What do you think the show is about? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah. What do you want to see in season 2?
Did Miranjo really do nothing wrong? This and more.
Okay. That's it. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.